Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Godavari Power and Ispat Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by Go India Advisors LLP. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be no opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal the operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Sana Kapoor from Go India Advisors LLP. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Godavari Power and Ispat Limited earnings call to discuss the Q2 FY22 results. We have on the call Mr. B.L. Agarwal, Managing Director, Mr. Abhishek Agarwal, Executive Director, Mr. Siddharth Agarwal, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Sanjay Bothra, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Dinesh Gandhi, Director. We must remind you that the discussion on today's call may include certain forward-looking statements and must be therefore viewed in conjunction with the risks that the company faces. May I now request Mr. Dinesh Gandhi to take us through the company's business outlook and financial highlights, subsequent to which we will open the floor for Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sana. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the earning conference call to discuss the Q2 FY22 earnings of the company. I trust that you have had a look at the earnings presentation uploaded on the exchange and the company website. Before I discuss on the quarterly performance, I would first briefly touch upon the key strategic updates for the quarter. I'm pleased to report that with the decisive, consistent, and focused approach taken by the management of the company 3 years ago, GPIL has become debt-free on a standalone basis. This is really a dream come true for us, which we had decided about 3 years ago. This we have achieved it against the scheduled, repayment period up to 2030. So definitely, it's a remarkable achievement for the company, and we are all very happy about it. With the debt-free status of the company, your company has already announced growth plans by investing into the Kepti Solar projects and integrated steel plant to manufacture flat steel products. Sending investments into these projects, the company has decided to invest surplus funds surplus funds generated from the operational cash flow of the company into bank deposits and other short-term instruments. Coming on the capex plans which were announced during the earlier quarter, I just would like to give you some updates on that. As regards the solar project, wherein we had announced that the company will be setting up 250 megawatt solar PV Kepti solar power plant in Chhattisgarh, partially to meet the increased requirement and partially to replace the old high-cost coal and biomass generating capacity. However, during the last quarter, there was a change in the state regulatory environment for setting up the regulations for setting up Kepti power plants. And in view of the change regulation, our company has reduced the size of the project from 250 megawatt to 100 megawatt, and capex from 750 crores to about 325 crores. The state CRC has restricted setting up of the solar capacities, Kepti solar capacities, to the extent of 2 times the connected load, and therefore, there was a need to change in the size of the project. Now, this 100 megawatt project will be set up at 2 locations. We had earlier announced to set up the project at Raigad, where we had a large parcel of land. However, in view of the lower size of the project, we have decided to change the location of the project, wherein 170 megawatt will be set up at Rajnandgaon, for which we already have the land in our possession. And this 70 megawatt we are targeting to complete by Q1 FY23. Coinciding with the commissioning of our increased steel billet capacity, so that the company is able to draw the power from the new solar project. Similarly, 30 megawatt capacity will be set up at a new location, for which we have done the land identification and acquisition is in process. And this 30 megawatt will be utilized for our power requirement at the captive mines, including crushing and beneficiation facilities being set up at the mines. The Hira Ferroalloy 70 megawatt project, there is no change except the change in the location of the project. Earlier, the 70 megawatt Hira Ferroalloy project was proposed at a location where GPL is now setting up 70 megawatts, and therefore Hira Ferroalloy land is also identified that is in process of acquisition. This 30 megawatt GPL plus 100 megawatt HFL project will get commissioned in S2 FY23. As against the announcement made earlier, the 73 megawatt capacity, the existing captive power generating capacity will continue to operate without any shutdown. However, in order to increase the operating efficiency in the coal and biomass power plant, we have decided to replace the turbine, the old turbines with a new 48 megawatt high efficiency turbine, which will enable us to generate 8 megawatt of additional power without any additional fuel and operating cost. So while the capex on this investment will be close to about 60 crore, which will get completed over a period of next 1.5 years. Your company is gradually progressing towards the setting up of 1.5 million ton integrated steel plant announced earlier. We are presently in the process of finalizing the technology and equipment details. Land acquisition is also underway, and we expect to file for the environmental approval for the project during the current month. The environmental approval, land acquisition, and the other project-related details shall be finalized over a period of next 1 year, and we expect the construction to start only after next Diwali. Thereafter, this project will require about 2 to 2.5 years to commission. This project, we plan to mainly fund it through the internal accruals of the company, and if required, we shall raise the debt at an appropriate time, taking into account that the overall debt to EBITDA of the company shall never exceed 1:1. Now I will touch upon certain other major developments during the quarter. As you are all aware, the capacity for our Aridogri iron ore mines has been announced to 2.3 million ton with the grant of the approval, environmental approval. And with this, the company has started utilizing 100% of the captive iron ore for our steel manufacturing facilities. In order to improve the efficiency as well as the higher production in the mine and to utilize low-grade ore, we have decided to set up the iron ore crushing and beneficiation facilities at the mine. And the capex for the mine, which was earlier announced to be about 75 crore, is now reversed to 125 crores. The credit rating of the company has been recently upgraded from A stable to A plus stable by the CRISIL. The rating upgrade reflects the company's healthy business profile driven by integrated operation, established market position, and improved financial risk profile. As you are all aware, the merger of Jagdamba Power was 25 megawatt power project was dropped in view of differences over the valuation. The company continues to draw power from Jagdamba earlier arrangement of the power purchase agreement, and the same arrangement will continue till an alternate agreement with the management of Jagdamba is finalized for acquisition of this 25 megawatt power project. Because with the reduction in the size of solar project, this is a long-term requirement of the company, and at some point of time we will try and reach an agreement with the existing management of the Jagdamba and acquire this unit. There was another development with regard to our solar project with the healthy cash flow generation of the company, and the proposed scheme for divesting the stake in solar projects SPV has been withdrawn. Although we continue to explore the possibilities for divesting the stake at an appropriate time at a valuation which is considered reasonable, by the management of the company. We shall come with the to the shareholders for fresh approval as and when agreement in this regards are executed with the potential buyers. The another development during the quarter was relating to Hira Ferroalloys. Hira Ferroalloys, which is having an 60,000 tons of ferroalloys capacity with captive power generation of about 30 megawatt, has become subsidiary of your company with the stake of 52.79%. This stake is likely to go up to 56% in the near term, with additional subscription in the press capital issue of Hira Ferroalloys, which was announced earlier. I'm also pleased to report that the stock split and bonus, which was approved by the board of directors of the company, has been approved by the shareholders. We have already credited the split share to the account of the shareholders. The allotment of the bonus has been completed in the last board meeting, and now the process for crediting the shares in the shareholders' account is underway. Now, coming on the results, without taking much of your time, I'm sure you must have all looked at the numbers of the company. Just to give you a brief on the same, on the YOY basis, the revenue of the company increased 32%, primarily driven by the higher realization. The average realization of the pellet during the quarter was about 13,000 rupees a ton, about 10% lower than the realization of the last quarter. However, 83% increase higher as compared to the same quarter last financial year. The steel business realizations were almost flat on quarter basis, but up over 50% as compared to last year. The EBITDA of the company stood at about 436 crores, for the quarter. With reduction in debt, the finance cost has come down by 73% YOY, and consequently, the PAT is increased to about 296 crores, up 185% YOY. Coming on the business outlook of the company, the iron ore prices have fallen from a peak in domestic market from 9,600 to about 6,200 in last 4 months for 62 Fe material. However, as the steel demand improves seasonality, iron ore prices have again started to recover. The pellet prices, which had peaked at about 16,000 rupees a ton, has come down to 11,000 rupees a ton during the last quarter, and now sharply recovered to about 13,000 rupees a ton. The finished steel prices have recently gone up about by 20% in view of the increase in the input cost, mainly the coal cost, thermal cost, coal cost for manufacturing of long products in the secondary steel plant. We expect the iron ore and pellet and finished steel demand to remain healthy going forward, and we also expect the company to post the healthy cash flow going forward in the near to medium term. With this, now I would like to open the floor for the question answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is on the line of Monica Bajaj from Steel Mint. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Hello.
Monica. Yeah.
Sir, I just wanted to ask that what is your pellet production guidance for this fiscal, and how much do you see the share for the domestic market and for the exports market in this fiscal?
We aim to manufacture the entire 2.4 million ton in Godavari Power and about 700,000 tons in Ardent Steel. The mix between domestic and export will depend and will be mainly driven by the market conditions, depending upon the demand and price recovery.
Okay, sir. And how much, and when we talk about low alumina pellet, and how do you see the low alumina pellet will be doing in going forward in this fiscal? How would be its share, and how will the market will be driven for low alumina?
Abhishek, you will take this?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, please. Can you please repeat the question?
Sir, I just wanted to ask that how have the low alumina pellet market been doing, and how would its market be going forward in this fiscal?
See, there is a huge demand from the export market for the low alumina cargo. Although the license have dropped significantly compared to last quarter, and domestic licenses are much better, but still we will maintain a ratio of probably doing 50% domestic, 50% export, because the low alumina value is attracting a lot of customers from Europe and non-Chinese countries like Malaysia and Korea and all. So I feel the demand is there. Of course, prices are driven by the global market. As you are all aware, the iron ore index has fallen quite a bit, but the pellet premium, which defines the pellet market, has jumped almost double in last 4 weeks. So there is huge demand, and I'm sure it will remain like that, because China is now targeting direct feed to their blast furnace. So pellet will be there in demand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Monica?
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Vikas Singh from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Vikas.
Sir, I just wanted to understand the current spot prices for other material like sponge and billet as well versus 2Q average. And my second question would be, how is the export prices for pellets now prevailing? And given that the availability in the domestic market for iron ore has been increasing, do you think that the trend, how the pellet prices would behave in the domestic market going forward?
Okay, I'll take this. See, as far as the current prices are prevailing, so sponge iron is hovering around 33,500 rupees, which is all-time high in the history of sponge iron. It had jumped to 35,000 couple of weeks back, but now corrected to 33,000. Whereas billet is hovering around 47,000. So all these prices are, at record high, ever high in the history of the commercial segment. As far as pellet is concerned, currently the domestic prices are hovering around 13,000 rupees, which was at the low of 11,000 and has jumped to 13,000 rupees. And the export market, the prices are, hovering around 11,500 rupees. But as you all are aware, we are exporting high-grade pellets, so we will maintain the ratio. We will be exporting high-grade pellets and selling all the 63.5 pellets in the domestic market. So we will have mix of both, where we can realize a realization of close to 13,000 rupees for high-grade as well as domestic market, because we get almost $20 more for the high-grade pellets. So that will keep the realizations at the same level for domestic and exports in case of Godawari.
And what would be our current mix in terms of export versus domestic at present?
It's 50-50 at the moment. 50% domestic, 50% export.
Understood, sir. So my second question pertains to our coal availability as well as the cost. If you could update us, what was the coal cost in 2Q? How do you see it going forward in 3Q? And what is the availability scenario as of now to us?
See, as far as my DI operation is concerned, we only use imported coal. So for that, we are very well covered till January, February of next calendar year. With the very attractive prices, we did a lot of advance buying. So we are not at all impacted by the recent jump in the thermal coal prices globally. As far as domestic is concerned, we are getting supplies from Coal India via linkages, which is more than enough to run our power plants. So we have no issue from the coal front. We haven't purchased any single quantity from the open market at such high level, whether it's imported or domestic. So in terms of coal, we are very well covered at a very good prices, I would say.
So any indication how that till January the prices which we have booked is in 1Q levels or any indication of the levels at which you would have booked the forward?
Yeah. So for the import coal, my levels are at 120, 125 CFR levels, which at the moment it went up to almost 240, 230 CFR levels and have crested to around the 170, 180 levels. So our coal is covered at 120, 125 CFR levels. For pure RB1, we only use prime coal, which is called RB1 in the national market, and we use only that for sponge iron making.
Understood. So just for my understanding purpose, so basically since imported coal has now a longer timeline in terms of logistics, so we have to buy the coal by end of November, right? So if prices doesn't come down by end of November, we have to import or look for a higher coal cost, or a certain portion of it can be substituted through domestic prices.
No. So see, we do not use any domestic coal for our sponge iron making because of quality. Because the moment we start using domestic coal, our production goes down. As far as prices are concerned, the international prices have already fallen by almost $90 in last 2 weeks. Because China has again has come into the picture and they want to control the prices. So the coal index, which has jumped to almost 240 levels starting of October, has come up to 140 levels already. So going forward, I'm sure we won't be impacted at all. Prices started coming down already internationally.
Understand. So just one last question, if I can slip in.
Yes,
so we have reduced our power solar PV plant from 250 megawatt to 100 megawatt, but the cost has been just came off by half. My estimate was that since we had a sizable portion of our own land bank, so the cost per megawatt should have been come down in the similar proportion. So can you just explain what I'm missing here?
Yeah. Vikas, there are two things in this. Number one is, you are aware, because of the power shortage in the China, most of the solar modules are being imported. So most of the Chinese manufacturers of the module have invoked the force majeure clause and have started negotiating for the increase in price. Number two, the land bank, for 100 megawatt of the project, between GPL and the Hira Perolos, we have to, do the land acquisition also fresh, because the earlier project was proposed to be set up in Raigad, where we have a land parcel. But if I see the economics of the project, setting up a 100 megawatt capacity in Raigad does not make economic sense, because the transmission cost is very high from that place, unlike 250 megawatt project. And therefore, with the change in the location of the project, as well as the increase in the cost by Chinese manufacturer, the cost is tentatively has gone up about 15 to 20% for these projects.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering my question, and all the best for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of D.V. Jalan from KLG Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My question is that if I understood correctly, the inventory level at this quarter is very high. Why is it so?
No, sir. Inventory level during the last quarter was higher, which has been sold in the current quarter, except some raw material where some of the inventory was gone up, but it is not substantially higher. But that kind of will keep on happening.
And what about the present and future demand of pellets?
I think Mr. Abhishek has already explained about the pellet demand. Abhishek, would you like to take it again?
Yeah. So about the pellet demand, domestic demand is at the moment very good, because the sponge prices have reached all-time high of 33,000, 34,000 levels. So because of which the margins in sponge are quite high in the domestic market. And for the export, as I mentioned, China, is trying to reduce their carbon emission. So they are trying to reduce their direct feed to the blast furnace, which is a sinter. Because sinter is one of the most polluting industries. So the demand of pellet is going up every day. And there is a huge demand of pellet in the Chinese as well as non-Chinese market. So I don't see any reason that demand is going to come down very soon. Because China, the winter season started, and now in February, the Olympics is going to be held. So China is very serious about the pollution. So demand of pellet will be on the upward side going forward as well.
Sir, our focus is on the domestic or export market?
No, as I mentioned, with the current realizations, we will be doing a 50-50 charge mix. 50% is selling domestic and 50% will be exporting our high-grade pellets.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is in the line of Anuj from Anubhav Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My question here is, over the last quarter, that is ended 30th June, we had a profit to income ratio of about 48-49%, which has now fallen to 27.5% or 28%. You mentioned that the coal that you've got has not really impacted your profitability so much because you're tied up till January. So what has caused such a steep decline in the margin? And do we see these margins getting covered up, or do we see this to be the new normal?
See, the margins, primarily the margins have gone down by about 1,000 rupees reduction in the pellet realization as compared to, or slightly more than the 1,000 rupees a ton as compared to the last quarter. This is number one. Last quarter we had certain inventories, so the of the finished goods which was sold during the current quarter, and although the turnover has increased, the overall EBITDA has gone down, primarily led by the drop in the volume as compared to the last quarter. So the slight drop in the margins from earlier quarter to this quarter is because of the volume drop, because of the reduction in the pellet realization and higher component of the finished steel sale, which is leading all to, because the in our industry each and every item impacts the margin. Absolute margin may not be calculated in the same manner as it was there in the last quarter. And pellet is one product where our margin component is very high. Our cost of production is around 5,000 rupees a ton, whereas the last quarter the realization was more than 16,000 to 15,000 rupees a ton. So that one product can impact the margin sizably for the company on absolute basis.
Thank you. Yeah, that is understood. So my query was more that, okay, so it's based on the price and not anything else.
Yeah. Because my cost remains same. No, my cost is not changing. So my top line is impacting.
So what is the scenario now in the last month that is gone and the 2 months coming forward? Are we looking at the same status quo, or are we looking at an improvement?
It will be more or less in the line with the last quarter is of now.
Okay, so one can look forward to about 25 to 28% kind of.
Yeah, long-term margins.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Preeti Singh from Value Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Congrats on a good set of numbers. So my first question is, what is the status of the specialty steel plant that you wanted to set up, and what is the rationale behind this plant?
See, I think I already outlined the status of the project in my opening remarks. The project is currently on the drawing board. We are in the process of land acquisition, and we plan to file for the environmental approval in the current quarter. The rationale for this project is to grow the business of the company. Now, since the company is debt-free on a standalone basis and generating substantial cash flow, we want to deploy into the similar line of activities with definitely better value-added product. And this investment will run through over a period of next 4 to 5 years, whereas the company plans to deploy its internal generation of the funds to grow the business of the company.
Okay, got it, sir. And my next question is, so why has there been a dip in sponge iron production this quarter, And when do you expect to receive the clearances to operate at a higher capacity?
See, for sponge iron, the production is marginally down. That happens usually because the monsoon is never in an ideal season to operate the steel plant. The rains, and this time especially the rains has been quite heavy compared to previous years, as you are all aware. So it's a marginal drop which will be recovered going forward. I don't see any issue there. And secondly, about the EC, we are the file is probably the last stage now, and we're confident we should get approval this quarter or early next quarter.
Okay, got it. That's it from my side. I will join again if I have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Vikas Singh from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me opportunity again. Sir, can you just tell us the Hira Ferroalloy total EBITDA for the quarter? I understand that you have added for last 2 days only. So if you could give us the total quarterly EBITDA run rate for the Hira Ferroalloy and any expectation going forward?
Bosraji, do you have handy available? That is there in the presentation. Just a minute. The total EBITDA of Hira Ferroalloy for the last quarter was 47.5 crore against 68 quarters previous year same quarter, and on immediately previous quarter it was 282 crores. Not 28 million hoga. 28 crores, sorry. Yeah, 28.
Yes, sir. 282. So, sir, this is the normal run rate, 47 we can expect going forward?
Yeah, as of now, that is the market condition. And mind you, sir, the only Hira Ferroalloy has been consolidated only for the 2 days, that is for 29th of September. So the full impact of the consolidation of Hira Ferroalloy has not reflected into the GPIL number, which will start reflecting from the current quarter.
And for that, as the ferroalloy business is concerned, the market has been on the upward trend mainly because, China has started cutting down the capacity of ferroalloy because of ferroalloy being a high-powered metal unit. So, as everybody is aware, China is coming down heavily on powered metal units because of the, the coal crisis. So, ferroalloy prices have been on the upward side. There has been impact because of the coking coal, the coke for the ferroalloy we are using. But still, the margins are very heavy, same as last quarter, I would say.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Jaymant Manoj, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to check with you that while you're expanding or putting more investments in the power sector, and then from the numbers, it's very clear that the ROCE, return on capital from your power sector, is much lower than that from the steel sector. Any thoughts?
Yes, I'm coming on I got your point. So, investment in power is for the saving of the cost. It is not, is an IPP project. The investment which is proposed for about 170 megawatt of solar PV power plant is for replacing the grid power. The company is buying the grid power in the range of about 6 rupees per unit. And whereas the cost of generation from the solar without interest will be hardly about 30-35 basis point, and with interest in investment, it will not rise more than 2 rupees per unit. There is substantial saving expected. So the investment in power is not an IPP wherein we want to see the ROE in the range of 15% or so. This is going to save substantial cost for the company.
Right. So if I can follow it up with the additional solar plant that you are setting up, that will be for your captive consumption.
Yes, captive consumption. Yes.
and that will be replacing some of the grid power that you are drawing now.
Yes. So that will help us,
Right.
achieving the carbon neutrality as well as replacing the high cost grid power.
Right. That makes sense. Number one. Having said that, I mean, in the current quarters and the previous quarters, the power sales that you are still doing, there is still some power sales you are doing, right? In the month.
No, that is from our IPP solar, that 50 megawatt solar thermal power plant which we have in Godavari Green Energy, and for which we are discussing about the divesting the stake. It is the sale of power from that company. There we have a fixed price PPA with NTPC Vidyut Vyapar Nigam. So that is an independent project. Yeah, that we are we are proposing to divest that investment.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Raj Nahar from Millie Consultant. Please go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have some questions regarding your beneficiation plan. Now, is it fully ready, basically?
See, as far as the plant connection is concerned, which is Jaipur, the plant is fully operational. And we have already received the consent to operate from the local pollution board. So that plant is running now. And as far as mines is concerned, with Mr. Dinesh mentioned, that will take about a year's time to commission the plant.
Okay. So that after right now, what is the capacity of your beneficiation plant now?
It is 3.28 million ton throughput at Raipur.
That's right. Okay. And that new mine capacity will be how much?
That will be 0.6 million tons.
Okay, sir. And one more question, sir, regarding this. Now, are we able to realize better pricing, as you have been telling that you will get about $25 extra for the high grade pellet?
We have been realizing that very much. There is no doubt about it.
Okay. So going forward, we are going to continue now get about $20, $25, $30 extra for.
Yes, definitely. Our product is a premium product because of the low alumina and higher Fe, because of which we will keep getting the higher premiums from the market.
Okay. All the best, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
From my side. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Shrishti from Wellwind Consultant. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. I just have a couple. So, first question is on, I wanted to know about your current dividend policy. And second, I wanted to know about the capex plans we are having for the Ardent, and what are the uses of that capex, that cash flows we are getting from there. So that's it.
See, dividend policy is already announced. It is available on the company's website. We have already announced that we will distribute about 10 to 15% of the incremental cash flow for the dividend. As far as Ardent Steel is concerned, we are in the process of making an investment plan in that company, and till the investment plan is completed, we are deploying the funds into the short-term instruments, so that as and when the investment plan is finalized, the funds can be utilized there.
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Anuj from Anubhav Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning again. Thank you for answering all the questions so nicely and clearly.
Thank you.
One question that we face from the investors always is, what are the triggers for the next quarter? So I understand ferroalloy, being clubbed with your balance sheet is one. What are the potential other triggers that may lead to an upside in the next quarter? Was my question. Thank you.
See, near-term trigger will be definitely higher production in the project because as you see, the last quarter there was a drop in the volume, because of the monsoon. And during this period, we utilize it for the routine maintenance period and maintenance of the plant as well. So definitely you can see some improvement in the volume going forward in the immediate quarter. The major trigger in the medium term will definitely come from the solar project, which we are in the process of commissioning over a period of next 1 year. Then the impact of the higher captive mining and replacing the ore which we are buying from the earlier from the market, and this is getting adjusted against the volatility in the finished product prices. So while there is an improvement, it may not reflect 100%, because of the volatility in the finished product prices. But there are 3-4 triggers are there in the immediate future. The higher production from the captive RM leading to the lower cost. If impact of the ferroalloys business, the impact of the lower interest cost going forward on a YOY basis, definitely that impact is going to reflect over a period of time. So these are the near-term trigger for the company. And then, of course, the profitability will continue to be driven by the pricing of the product in the market.
Yeah, that is the key trigger, obviously.
Yeah. Yes.
What is your gut feel on the prices? Do you think this China mess will help us?
I think Abhishek has already outlined. We are quite confident that this pricing level where we are currently is likely to sustain over a medium period of time.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Shikhar Mundra from Vivog Commercial. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just missed the pricing of the pellet pricing. So what was the prices in the second quarter and what's the current pellet prices?
It is closer to the same, about 13,000 rupees a ton.
Okay, all right. And what was the volume drop in the second quarter, and how much is the volume expected in the third quarter?
I think these numbers are there in the presentation. You can have a look at it there.
Okay, all right. And for the solar plant, what is our expected the EBITDA to be generated from the 70 megawatt solar plant, and when is the date of commissioning?
See, solar one project we are targeting 70 megawatt by Q1 of next financial year, that is April 2022, and rest of the 100 megawatt will come in the second half of the FY23.
And what is the EBITDA expected from the 70 and 100 megawatt?
This project will generate about, say, on a 70 megawatt project, it will generate close to about 10 crore unit, and 10 crore unit will translate into 4 rupee per unit as against the current pricing. So 40 crore per annum of the additional EBITDA there. Okay. And similarly, this new investment of 170 megawatt will be on the same line. So you can expect close to about 100 crore additional EBITDA going forward from the solar.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Jaymant Manoj, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to check on your strategy for coal sourcing, i.e., are you in a wait and watch mode, or given the current circumstances, you have some longer term forward plan on the coal availability, imports or bidding internally? Is there something?
See, for the coal side, we have no issue because we have secured volumes till January, end of January, early Feb, which is almost 3 months from now on. And the market has started going down drastically. It has already dropped by $100 in the last 2 weeks because of China's intervention. And whenever we buy volumes, we buy on linkages. We buy on index. So the index falls, automatically the price starts going down. So on the coal front, we have no issues sourcing as well as the pricing.
So you will wait for the extending the orders beyond February?
Yes. My next buy would come in starting of January, which is almost 2 months from now on. So by then the prices should further cool down because of China intervention.
Right. And if I may ask, which countries you are importing the coal from?
Australia and South Africa.
Australia and South Africa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there is a political impact also.
Yes, between China and Australia.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anil Sharma from AB Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. Sorry if I missed out this earlier, but I just wanted to check on your plans in terms of Ardent Steel. So are you planning to sell your entire stake in Ardent Steel, or will you keep it maintained at this particular level only?
We will maintain at this level.
Achha, it will be maintained.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to check about that 30 megawatt of solar plant that's coming up. So what are the capacities are actually coming up in that particular location, and where is that particular 30 megawatt coming?
No, the 30 megawatt is coming in Chhattisgarh only. We have done a particular location of land identification, and the acquisition is in process currently. But it will be somewhere in near to the Raipur division only.
Okay. And lastly, just one more thing. Any inorganic growth opportunities in steel that you are looking at?
Sorry, come again?
Are you looking at any, kind of inorganic growth opportunities in steel?
Looking at our size and the investable surplus currently, there is no good project available as we understand. So if there is an opportunity, we are open to definitely looking at it.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and all the best. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Dinesh Gandhi for his closing comments.
Once again, good morning, everyone. We have tried to answer all your queries in the call. If you have any more queries, you can directly reach us or our investment relation firm, Go India Advisors, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Go India Advisors LLP, that concludes this conference call. We thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.